Well, good morning, TikTok. Ed over here at FICMRepair. So this question comes to us. Hey, I can't get ICP pressure to go above 350 PSI. Any tricks to trick the motor? Well, I'll tell you that there is no tricking the motor, right? That's just not going to happen. But what can happen is you can change the environment that the motor is living in to get you going. So what's happening to you is that you are not building enough high pressure oil. You know, Captain Obvious over here, I totally know. So what builds high pressure oil? Well, no leaks is a good start. Having a high pressure oil pump that's working is a good start. It doesn't have a blown out snap to connect fitting or something like that. Or, having an IPR valve, an injection pressure regulator valve that's functioning properly. So, but assuming that your IPR valve is good, you've checked at 14.84, volts, percent duty cycle rather, key on engine off, and that your ICP voltage is 0.24, which means both those sensors are probably good. Keyword probably. What you could do is you could increase rotational speed of the motor. A way to do that is to migrate to like a 6.4 style starter. I really, really, really like the Mean Green starter. It's awesome. I would argue that is probably the best option for a 6.0 starter upgrade, and you will increase rotational speed of your motor. Now, the other thing, which was going to increase the speed at which the HPOP is spinning, so yay, which is also going to increase the speed at which the HPOP is producing oil, and so you're going to have higher high pressure oil as a result of the HPOP spinning faster. It's just a gear driven pump, right? So if you make the gear spin faster, life is good. This is the reason why so many times someone will spray ether, and I'm not a fan of this. It does work, but I'm not a fan of this. Risk reward. And people, I've been spraying ether for years, never blown up a motor yet. Well, I've sold lots of motors because of this, so it's like, oh my goodness. But this is the reason people spray ether. They just give a source of fuel, and all of a sudden they increase a rotational RPM to 600 RPM instead of the sub 200 RPM that you're cranking at, and they build enough high pressure oil to get the thing to start. And so there you go. But I'm not a fan of that. And so it's like, okay, it does function, but at what price potentially of your motor? So I'm just not, so you can go ahead and you can put a faster starter on there, like the 6.4. You can migrate to a thicker oil. So if you're running, like a 530. Oh my goodness, please tell me you're not. But if you're not running like a 1540 motor oil, you could do that. Change your oil, switch to a thicker oil, and that will work to seal up any leaks that you've got, and a little bit just to get you there. You can also you go the jumper cable route. Just go ahead and put some jumper cables on the truck and increase the amount of amps coming into that starter, so that thing's spinning as fast as it bloody can. And then just getting the thing cold. Viscosity is a thing, right? So if you do one of these things, then you can go ahead and, quote, get to 500 PSI, which is not tricking the motor at all, but it's going to get it started that one last time. Now, alternatively to this, you could just go ahead and figure out if you got 350 PSI, probably it's a snap to connect fitting off of your HPOP on a later build truck. And so you could just go ahead and say it's not that. Actually, people they get themselves all freaked out about changing out a high pressure oil pump. And it's like, it's not that bad of a job actually on a late build truck. The intake doesn't even have to come off. You just pull the turbo, that's 10 minutes. And the HPOP is staring at you. Pop off the cover and take out the old, put in the new. If you've got two nickels to rub together and not just a singular nickel in your pocket, instead of just doing the snap to connect fitting, you just go ahead and change out the pump. We really like RCD's Thumper 1 pump, so you can go ahead and pick that up from us on FICMRepair.com. Shocker. Yeah, we're talking about this bad boy right here. But you notice it's already got the snap to connect fitting on it. So you could do that if you want to. If you just have a singular nickel, then don't do that. And instead, spend the sub $100 on a new snap to connect fitting kit, which is really a branch tube adapter, don't you know? This thing that just threads now into the HPOP. Just recognize that the newer HPOPs, they absolutely do fail. And so if you wanted to go ahead and have it, not have a problem for you and everything else, you can say, okay, how can I fix this? You can just go ahead and do this. Of course, you could always find out where the problem is for sure by spinning out your IPR valve and putting in this air test tool. also, shocker, available on FICMRepair.com. And you could see, hey, where is my leak? And that way you're not just changing parts to change parts. But recognize this for the religious discussion that it is on this Sunday morning. So as you're getting ready to head out to church, because you're getting ready to head out to church, right? I mean, I was asking for a friend. You can be thinking about saying, hey, do I want to figure out where my problem is, or do I just want to say, okay, based on the PSI numbers that I'm building, in this case, 350, 400, what is the likely source of my leak? Because there's tips and tricks on this. You can say, okay, yeah, I'm building 350. 300 psi, 400 psi. It probably is a snap fitting if it's a later build truck, right? You can say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and if that doesn't solve my problem, then I'm going to move on to the next thing. Especially if you've got more than like 100 and call it 70, 80,000 miles on that HPOP, that owes you nothing. So even if it doesn't solve your problem right now, it's going to solve your problem for the future. So it'll prevent you from having a problem, which has got its own set of benefits, right? So these are the conversations, right? And it's just a conversation really about what path you want to go yourself. Do you want to find the problem and fix that problem? Or do you want to say, forget this, I'm just going to go ahead and change out everything that it can be one at a time for the list of things that like to fail and just start over? I will tell you that the late and great Ron Huxell, aka Diesel Tech Ron on YouTube, who I used to do quite a bit of conversations and tech support for, he unbelievably good videos. Ron was a senior master tech at a Ford dealership in Cali, and he had tons and tons and tons of videos that he put on his YouTube channel that show the how-tos. So instead of most of my videos, which are theoretical in nature and, hey, this is how the world works, Ron's actually showing you the tips and tricks for making it happen. So he's got videos on how to change out an HPOP, how to change out, injectors, how to change out dummy plugs and standpipes and all this kind of stuff. And if you augment those videos with my videos, you'll understand the reasons why, and you'll be in really, really good shape. But you can go ahead and with this particular thing, I would tell you, I would start by just changing out the HPOP if you can financially swing it. If you can't, I'd go ahead and change out the snap to connect fitting. Perfect. If that doesn't work, then pop into the valve covers and do injector cup nipples and their corresponding O-rings, do dummy plugs and standpipes. Go ahead and inspect the upper O-rings on your injectors and just solve, say, oh, yep, I've changed out the HPOP, it's not that. I've done other valve covers, it's not that, whatever the case is. Or if you really, really, really want to just figure out what the problem is because you just don't have all the cash to be throwing the parts cannon at it, the air test tool isn't a bad way forward either. All right, so excellent question, and I appreciate you very, very much. But as far as tricking, there really is no tricking. A final thought on that. People commonly think that, oh yeah, I can disconnect the ICP sensor and that'll default, it'll make the ECM think I've got 1500 PSI. The only thing that does is it allows the motor to go ahead and get, if it not developing FICM sync is the reason why the truck's not starting. So, 500 PSI is the go for launch point where the ECM says, okay, yeah, energize the FICM relay. What you can do is you can unplug the ICP sensor and that'll trick the ECM into thinking that you've got 1500 PSI even though you don't. So if you're not building 500 actually, or 0.93 volts, don't you know, you're building like 495, the truck will start on 495. It'll start at 490. It'll start at 480 PSI. So if you wanted to get that little bit, if you're just so close, you want to just take it over that little bit, that would get you there too. So, a lot of thoughts on this video. Put your ideas in the comments. If you've got other tips and tricks that you can think of that I haven't covered, add them. We're better together, guys. I appreciate you. FICMRepair.com. We're almost together. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you listening. Happy Sunday to you.